Hello and welcome to this review for Transformers Earthspark Deluxe Class Megatron. These toys have been found in Canada, so I'm reviewing some of them for you. Now, Megatron is the one that was, I guess, most anticipated since he has a rather interesting alt mode. And the alt mode is very good, I'll tell you that. My issues, though, lie a bit with the robot mode with the shoulders. And I'll show you why. For example, in the beginning of this video, I wanted to do one of his classic poses where he's pointing his fusion cannon at you. Problem is that it's a bit harder to pose because these are such chunky shoulders. So even his standard pose where he's firing, let's say like this, it doesn't look great. And even if I want to try to get him towards you, you still get a lot of obstruction. So that's one of the main issues with this Megatron toy here. Aside from that, it's fine. The transformation though is fun. It reminds me a lot of what we saw in some Titans Return figures. Oh, well, yeah, before I just want to get to the articulation, if you're curious, so he has ball joints at his elbow, so you're able to get a few poses out of that. Same for the shoulders, but like I said, because of how chunky the shoulders are, you are limited in articulation. The feet do have some ankle tilt, which has become standard in many Transformers these days. And there is no wrist swivel. However, that is not something that I see as standard all across the board. So we'll get into the transformation, because that's what I think is the most fun part. I'm going to remove the weapon. The weapon, by the way, does, and we'll do this now, because I need to show you this for the alt mode. It does separate. Am I doing it properly? No, I'm not. Actually, you have to do it this way. Because, you know what? It fooled me a bit. The weapon is not symmetrical when it separates. I thought it was. It is not. And it comes inside, just so that, in case there's parents watching, just so you don't forget, when you do open this box, in the back, there is, the accessories come inside this little baggie. This little baggie made of paper. And inside is the hand for the Build-A-Figure. So for example, this is the hand. Here you get with it. So, got this to the side. It's going to come in later. And now, let's transform this guy. Alright. Oh yeah, before I forget, I really do like the his little faction symbol. As you can see, there you go. It is the Decepticon symbol nestled within the Ghost logo. Which is a human Cybertron organization within this show. So now you'll see how there's some elements that we've seen in some Titans Return figures. So the first thing that you do, well, you open up his butt flap. That's what the instructions say. But the main thing to do here is that you have to pull down the legs like that. That gives some space for the head. And now you're going to have to squeeze the shoulders together to create the cockpit of the helicopter. Yes, it is a fake cockpit, so there's like this piece for robot mode, which is supposed to represent this piece here that's in the alt mode. All right. It worked very well this time. However, the first time I tried it was very tight. So if you are giving this to a young child, this recommends 6 years old and up, which I think is a fine age for this type of toy. That part might be tricky, but that would be the only thing the first time. Then we're going to move on to the arms. The arms here, where you're going to disconnect this part, right here. And then we're going to rotate the part that has the helicopter propellers. We're going to turn them, and we are going to nestle it like a jigsaw puzzle here, these tabs and these holes, and they actually fit quite well and snug. Let's see. Oh yes, and you have to position, of course, the elbow has to be straight so that it's under it. Helps nestle it correctly, and you'll see there, tabs perfectly well. Like I said, like a jigsaw puzzle. All right, good. And now this part here remind me a bit of animated Megatron, but once again, like we've seen in some Titans Return figures. So we rotate legs, bring down the feet. And now, there you go. Keep the butt flap open a bit, give some room, and you can close the butt flap. And the hip skirts, which actually double as like, that places for missiles, they do tab in at a very specific part here. There you go, like that. There's a hole where they do tab in, and they stay. So you end up with what I would say is a solid auto. Of course, it's missing this part here. You have to make sure, like I said, they are asymmetrical, so you have to check on which side your half of the fusion cannon goes. So in this case, it goes on this side. Here you go. And this one goes here. That's actually a pretty cool way of disguising, or at least integrating, the fusion cannon within the alt mode for Megatron. And like I said, you end up with what I would find, excuse me, here, a very solid alt mode. It looks really good, looks really smooth, everything connects really well. Nothing was too complicated, but it felt very intuitive. Of course, when you go under, you see how it is. There is a bit of robot here. However, even if you look at it dead on, I don't think it looks too bad, even with the hands. It looks best like this, of course, but it doesn't look too bad here. And the propellers are free moving. This one works way better. Yeah. There's not much else to say. These are rather standard toys. They would work very well for 6 years old, between 6 and 8, maybe 9, maybe 10. But between 6 and 8, that's like the sweet spot for these toys. And I think he works perfectly fine. So there you go.